Boris told me yesterday, suggested that the title for the shir yesterday would be appropriate, A Seat at the Table. So I know he called it to me because I don't put in the titles, but I'm just passing it on. A seat at the table is a classic type of a quote, right? You have a seat at the table. Okay. So we are taking our fine time to get through these inyonim. So we'll start on the line that begins with the word behelem. It's just about 10 lines up on top. Behei. And the point is that the mishnah, which is the brevity, the abbreviation, which is presenting the entire discussion in brief, but this brevity is not impoverished, is not devoid of all that went into this conclusion. It actually is representative of the entire richness that went into this whole discussion of ultimately coming to the halacha. But in the halacha it is presented in a very brief and pointed manner. But therein is contained the entire richness and all that went into this, into coming to this conclusion. So in the Mishnah, this entire discussion is behelem. One of the halachas that Rebbe mentions as a for instance, the Mishnah of Sukkah. That a Sukkah, it's the first Mishnah of Sukkah. Sukkah that is taller than 20 amas is possible. This statement that Sukkah is taller than 20 amas has a whole slew of inferences. What is the difference in the sukkah? Is 20 amas or above 20 amas or below 20 amas? It's a sukkah. It has 4 walls and it has chach. And yet, if it's above 20 amas, it's possible. So the Rebbe mentions this halacha. And at the end of the line that begins with what behelem, v'yesh bozet ha'amim. There are reasons. I explained yesterday a very important principle. There are two different aspects in getting to a halacha or getting to some kind of a destination. One is the means by which you get there. The other is what you've gotten to, what it stands for, what it represents. Like we gave the very simple illustration. You're looking for an address. There are means to get to the address. Twists and turns, turn this street, this, go right, left. But all of these turns are not represented in the destination that you are ultimately looking for. Just a means to get there, and it's totally insignificant as far as the destination itself is concerned. But when you identify this destination, say this is my friend's home, or this is a shul, then that contains that represents the impact and the significance of this place. Just by mentioning in brevity, this is what it is. So it contains the entire concept, spectrum of what this is about. Similarly, a sukkah that's above 20 amos is possible. The union that's similar, the sukkah above 20 amos has an inherent psul, an inherent reason. It's something missing in the sukkah. That's what Rebbe says. There are reasons within this statement. Mishum, for example, Mishum because that above 20, that if the covering is above 20, ein odom dor b'tzel sukkah. To sit in the sukkah, one has to experience that the sukkah provides for him the shading, tzel, the shade. But if it's above 20, the sukkah does not provide the shading for him. It's above his personal experience of shading. This whole inyan, just 1 second, that a sukkah that above 20, a sukkah, that same as sukkah, implies that what is a sukkah? A sukkah is not just a structure. A sukkah functionally provides a shade. It doesn't protect you against the rain, but it provides a shading. That's what a sukkah is. Therefore, if one is sitting in sukkah, the Torah says you sit in the sukkah, but you should sit in the sukkah and have the significance of the sukkah in this action. Not just a structure.
Not the shade, but shade from the skach.
So, yeah, the shade from the skach.
There can be shade from the walls.
No, say sukkah.
That's not.
Say sukkah. Any of the mishnah say sukkah. Therefore, he is not really but using the sukkah in terms of this mitzvah. That's one explanation why after 20, beyond 20 amos, it is possible. Or another reason that's given in the Mishum Doishalta B'Yeina. Doishalta B'Yeina means that the eye does not meet with it. Sholat means the eye does not meet. In other words, you may be sitting in sukkah, but Doishalta B'Yeina, you're not aware that you're sitting in a sukkah. Not talking about the service that sukkah provides, you're just not aware that you're sitting in a sukkah. Because it's above Shalta B'Yeina. Of course, if you lift your eyes, you'll see that you're in a sukkah. But Shalta B'Yeina means that while you're sitting here, you have the sense that you're in a sukkah. I'll explain more. Therein, there are very different principles. Just to give us a little bit of an inkling, a little bit of a sense. The Torah says you should sit in sukkah. And one of the ways that the Torah describes the principle, you should sit in the sukkah, is so that the future generations will know that I have settled in Israel in sukkahs. As I was reading Marav Mitzrayim. And the Gemara says, what were these sukkahs? This is the Anane HaKovik. When Eden were covered and surrounded and embraced by the Anane HaKovik, it was not a distant view. The Nebuchadnezzar knows that he is protecting them. They have experienced Nebuchadnezzar's presence in this. This was a very important part of their living Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling Yidden, when Yidden were kind of a little bit swearing off, he says, "What's the matter with you? Maybe she's walking along with you, and by day he covers you with cloud, with the heavenly cloud. At night he has a pillar of fire That's not guiding your way. What's the matter with you? The Eibusher is ignoring you? Excuse me. In other words, the sukkah was not just a practical inyan. The sukkah represents an overt statement how the Eibusher is related to Yidden. And how Yidden will be related to the experience of Eibusher's presence. The sukkah, the mitzvah of sukkah, is supposed to remind us of this, of this relationship. If a person does not, he's not aware that he's sitting in sukkah, then this symbol is lost, it's missing. So when you say the halach, a sukkah that's above 20 amas is possible, Chochem Godel focuses in this statement, and he says, of course, I understand what this is about. He's supposed to sit in a sukkah. Above 20 amas, he's not sitting in a sukkah. A sukkah is symbolic. That symbol is lost. And all those things are the Chochem Godel. What is the, discussed yesterday, we said a Chochem Godel. The principle of a Chochem Bechlal. Chochem Godel, this is the extreme. A Chochem Bechlal. A Chochem is one who sees reality from a Chochma perspective, rather than from a worldly and Gashmitic perspective. And why does a Chochem see things from a Chochma perspective? This is not something that he comes to by proofs and questions and pathways, because this is the from Chochem. He knows that in everything there is a godly, divine reality. That's what a Chochem is. And therefore he immediately recognizes he immediately focuses in on the divine meaning of this above 20 amma, and from this he immediately sees what this represents. Someone who is not a Chochem Godel, he will see the sukkah as four walls and a covering. So he will not be able to. He will not focus in on the significance of what this stands for. Physically, it's what's called a hut. A porch.
Pretty hot. Wait for the Chochem Gadol. In a sense, any limitation is not relevant at all. He sees it directly. It's not nogea to him above, below 20 amas. He's going to build it directly.
No. I mean, what you mean?
It's like the equivalent of saying to him, your sukkah should be outdoors. It's so apparent, so obvious, no? He sees a sukkah per se for what it is. Anything, it shouldn't be floating in midair. It shouldn't be indoors. It should not be above 20 amas. These are kind of not relevant statements to him, no?
No, that's not true. That's not true. Every possibility has to be considered. The mission is a conclusion of sifting through and sorting out all the possibilities.
Okay, but every possibility, for the Chochem Gadol, he has a direct perception of what's
the Chochem Gadol will find the conclusion correctly.
Again, but he's not seemingly not dealing with conclusions. He's seeing directly. Build a sukkah, so he knows that this is what a sukkah is. He sees it from inside. He doesn't need to deduce it from what you should not do. He doesn't need
Excuse me, Shlomo.
No?
Please think.
Okay.
He is building a sukkah in this physical world. A sukkah in the physical world consists of 4 walls and a schach. That's how the physical world translates a sukkah. But he's saying here this sukkah is supposed to be not just a physical sukkah, but it's a mitzvah sukkah. Where is the mitzvah of sukkah represented in 4 walls and a schach? This is where he gets the directives as to what are the parameters of a sukkah, a mitzvah sukkah, not a physical sukkah. But he has to consider this. We have to bring it down to a physical sukkah. It's not an imaginary sukkah. However, of course, it is a concept that's being translated in fact. But how does he know? See, it is not that simple. How do you know to represent the concept in the fact? Let me ask you this. This is our common illustration of these things. I'd like you to think honestly. You take a dining room table and put it in the middle of the table, in the middle of the room. The table does not automatically go to the middle of the room. It can fit every place. As a matter of fact, some people prefer it on the side, so it doesn't take up the middle of the room. People and the kids can play their games in the middle. But those to whom a dining room table represents the dining room in its true fashion, they say no, it belongs here in the middle. But when you say it belongs in the middle, that after having projected, what would be if the table is on the side? It is not simply saying the table does not fit in the side. Physically, it does fit. This is the whole principle in this, that you are bringing down something that is conceptual, full of meaning and essential reality, and you're translating it. How does that reflect itself in a physical reality, in a physical world? And then you have all kinds of different restrictions. Such restrictions that someone who's not a Chochem Gadol would not understand the significance of these restrictions. A Chochem Gadol would. So what you're saying, that he would immediately go and build a sukkah on this size and all, that's not true. Because to translate the concept to the physical world is a whole process. How does this reflect itself in the physical world? The very fact you're saying that leisholto be'eino, that the eye does not meet with the schach, that itself is a great concept. Because of course I can see it. You don't see the schach, of course I can see it. What does leisholto be'eino mean?
I'm curious to know as to why the sukkah can be that high. 35 feet is pretty high. Oh, what was it? Is it 20 hours or 30 hours? What's the limit?
20 amas.
20 amas. That's 35 feet. That's almost 2 stories.
Okay.
How did they come to that? And
That's why they were the Chachmei HaMishnah, not you.
Well,
No, Shmuel, you're barking up the
you're
wrong.
talking
You
about
always
having a
bark up the
sin.
wrong tree. Okay, what are you saying? What are you saying?
What I'm saying, I'll tell you what I'm saying. That an average person doesn't have to have to be.
How tall is the sky?
I'm not.
I'm asking you a question.
Irrelevant.
It is relevant. How tall is the sky?
Very high. As tall
When
as
you
the-
walk in the street, are you aware of the sky?
No.
Of course you are.
No, I'm not.
No, you're just plain lying. Of course you are.
Okay. Not in Brooklyn, I'm not.
Everywhere. Well, in Brooklyn, if houses block you, but if you're in a straight, open street, of course you are.
It's where wherever I focus. That's what.
No,
when
you
I
are
wanna
aware of
be-
the sky all the time. If not, you couldn't orient yourself properly.
Okay, well, if we're going to disagree.
No, you're
Why-
bent on asking stupid questions.
No, this
Cautious.
is a very relevant question.
You are bent on cautious. You know what cautious means? Contradictions. And we are focusing. I'm trying to focus you on trying to understand what is being taught.
Okay, so what's being taught is contradicting to what you're saying.
It doesn't contradict
It's
anything.
contradicting
No,
itself.
because you're not focused on what is being taught. You focus from your kasha perspective. I want to.
I'm a Jew, what can I do?
I want to contradict because that's wrong. You're preventing yourself from understanding what's being taught.
Why don't you let me answer my question? Ask
No,
my
your question is coming from the wrong angle. That's why you always get stumped like this. First, we said yesterday. First, try to understand what the chokhmah is. Understand what is being taught. Then, if you find some different sources that say differently, think, okay, how do you recognize?
The source is within me, within my
Stop.
my feelings.
Okay,
That's my source.
No, you're not applying your feeling. You're applying you're not even applying your chokhmah feeling. You're not trying to understand what is being taught. You have chokhmah, but you don't use it. You rather not use it. You rather be on the outside.
Okay, you understand my question.
No, I don't understand. I don't
understand.
understand. I don't
Okay,
understand your
So
question.
you don't want to answer it.
I don't understand your question. Your question is invalid. Your question is totally invalid. Chacham came up to this 20 amud measure. So how come the Chacham came to 20 amud? What kind of stupid
Because it's not
question is this?
because you're saying that a sukkah has to have a certain intimacy. It has to feel intuitively right that this is that I am in a.
All right,
quote,
Shmuel, I'm finished with you. I'm finished. You can stay, and you're not a student. You don't want to learn. You don't want to learn.
No,
You
if
get-
I would be sit here still and not ask
No,
questions, that's not a student.
No, that's true. That's true. Your questions are only to contradict. Your questions are not to understand.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
This is.
I guarantee this is
It
not
is. That's
true.
your question. Every question that you ask is always, how come they say this? Try to understand what they say. Not
I
how come.
am.
No, you're not.
I am trying very hard to understand this sincerely.
All right. If you are trying to understand this sincerely, so wait up until we finish the whole discussion before you come with your contradictions. I'm sick and tired of your kashas. Your kashas are always from left field, almost invariably. When you ask a decent question, it's wonderful, but you're always from left field. How come the Chacham say this? See, I don't have the same experience that the Chacham. Oh, you don't have. You're not a Chacham Gadol, perhaps. It's so unpleasant.
I'm
Stop it.
I'm a chacham enough to know where to put the
No,
table.
you're not a Chacham at all. You're not applying your Chochmah.
But
You're
you're giving the mashal of
You're
a
not
dining room
up-
table.
you're not-
Because people it has to go in the set. I understand. You have to put the table in the center, not on the side, because that's the spirit of a dining room. Okay? This you don't have to be a chacham to understand. It comes from
You do have to be a Chocham. You have to be a Chocham. If you say that this is how it belongs, that's a Chocham. If it is only a practical reason, it's something else. A Chocham, he feels right.
Right. Right, exactly. It's intuitive.
It's chochmah intuitive.
It's this is the
All
point
right,
of a dining
Shmuel,
room. It has to be, the center
let's
is
stop.
the
Let's
center.
stop by being ahead, okay?
All right, fine.
It's so unpleasant to fight with you. You're coming from left field. That's unbelievable. Okay, so we underline begins with the word mecholokim. The hakoil. So there are many different aspects that go into this halacha, that a sukkah has to be up to 20 amos. It cannot be above 20 amos. Like you mentioned, two of the reasons. And these are Yonim Chalokim, there's a very different principles behind these two reasons. Either that you have to actually experience a sukkah, or because you have to be remembering the union of what sukkah stands for, or many other things. V'hakoil, yesh, all of that, and all of the different Yonim. Yesh is present by Hakis of the Mishnah, in the brevity of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says it has to be 20 amos, that, or it cannot be more than 20 amos, that already represents all the various aspects that this stands for. Rak, except shehu behelem, except that in the Mishnah it is behelem. All of these aspects of behelem are in a very subtle manner. They're not expressed as to what the union behind this 20 amma is. 20 ammas includes all the various inferences that went into this conclusion.
We were saying right before why the loy shalta be'ena. We were about to explain that before.
The shalta be'ena means this. It says, that there's a special chesed that the Rebbe did with a human being, that he always sees the sky avoid the earth. As he stands and he walks straight, he is always aware of the sky and the earth. Not like an animal that's focused on the earth and sees only earth. The animal also can turn his head and see the sky, but there's there are two different principles, the sky and the earth. A human being has this coordination, this conglomeration, this union between sky and earth. So that, and this is what forms the human being's character, personality. That he is on earth, but he recognizes on earth heavenly qualities. He's never bound, limited to earth. He always, but neither is he devoid of earth. He's connected to it. This is why we always point out that a human being stands on 2 feet. So what's the difference? He's standing on the ground, but he is not bounded by it. He's not limited to it. He's not dependent. It's like as if he's standing there but independent. There's a certain independence of earth. Not 100%, a certain independence. He's always also related to the sky. This is Sholta B'Yema. Sholta B'Yema means that the eye meets with it all the time, automatically. Not when you look up. When you look up, of course, you'll see the Empire State Building. But Sholta B'Yema. You can't see that you're in that environment.
And then the point we made next, that kulukim.
Yes.
Mekulak.
Mechulakim. These are Yonim Mechulakim.
Which means that they differ.
Different.
But they're
not contradictory.
right.
No, they're different principles.
Okay.
The Chochem Godel sees all the principles that this represents.
Right. And I guess we could say, even when positions seem contradictory, when there's a sucked in then it's a resolution of the contradictions.
That's right. Well,
Or sometimes it just pushes off the one opinion.
I don't know what you mean.
Our theme is the way Psak Din encapsulates all the light that precedes it.
All the principles all the valid principles are going to this halach. Is contained, is represented in this halach, in the Psak Din. So if the Psak Din were based on one less principle than it does, then it may have been a little different. But the Psak Din as is a conglomeration of all the inyanim that are going into it. And this is the Chacham Gadol, he immediately sees in it all the inferences, all the richness that goes that it represents. Even though they're very disparate reasons. I want to finish this line, okay? All of this is contained, is present in the Kitzur of the Mishnah, behelem, except that in the Kitzur, in the brevity of the Mishnah, it is behelem. Behelem means subtle. It does not express itself. It is contained therein, but it does not protrude out. And this is the principle of miyud ha'oir. Miyud ha'oir means reduction of oir. The meaning of miyud ha'oir, reduction of oir, you've been on it for a long time. The behelem principle is a principle of miyud ha'oir. What does it mean, miyud ha'oir, reduction of oir? When we say the eye does not meet with it, or is not sitting b'tzeil sukkah, doesn't experience the shade of the sukkah, various other things. And you're not aware of these. It doesn't express these principles. Where did these principles come from? As we said before, these principles come from a very important sense. The sukkah is a reminder of Rebbe's relationship to Yidden during their sojourn in the desert. In other words, it's supposed to connect you back to that reality. If it's not stated, if you don't say, that's miyud ha'oir. You don't connect back to that reality. You experience it at this moment where it is. You have this in you, but you're not reconnecting. You're not going back to the source. Oir is connected to the source. Miyud ha'oir is you don't sense what this stands for in terms of its source. It does not connect you to coming out of Mitzrayim. It doesn't connect you to Hashem's care for the Jewish people as they were walking out of Mitzrayim. That's mit mir heuer. He just stated at the stage where you are, this is what the halacha is. If it were Roy Brubayer, then you would actually experience, so to speak, the Mepsh's presence in your sukkah. But it doesn't happen. It's miyud ha'oir. Dima Yois, as well. Dima Yois, for although Sheyeshna behelem, that is present there in a helem in a undertone, and a meir begilu, but does not make a statement begilu. Umashu hu begilu, and that what is begilu? Hu bebchinas mido, that aspect of it that is begilu is bebchinas mido. It is a midoyer aspect, because it speaks in terms of how it reflects itself in practice rather than how it is in its source. Okay, we just will continue to this. Have a good day.
If your sukkah is in memory is supposed to have a connection to the Amane HaKavod. So we know that the Mishkan, the walls of the Mishkan were find Amon's high. So what happened?
Not true.
Oh.